Welcome everyone to our call this evening. Welcome, welcome. My name is Jamal Lewis, and I want to take a quick minute to introduce our corporate trainer, Ms. Mita Del Fierro. She's been around with a career in this industry for over 30 plus years, helping lots of companies to go, from, I like to say from garage to greatness, meaning from not a lot to a whole lot. Mita has trained some of the best in the world, and we're just really fortunate to have her here with us, explaining to you how the African Startup League works and how we can actually benefit from it in the next short period of time here. And so with that, let me bring up Ms. Mita Del Fierro. Thank you, Mita, for helping us to understand this in a very simple and succinct way. Thank you, Mita.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Jamal, and welcome everyone. I know people are calling in from different parts of the world, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on, of course, where you're calling in from. For me, tonight, I'm calling in from Seattle, Washington, and it's truly my privilege to share some very exciting news with you. Now, this presentation, it's for you if you're a guest, or if this is your first time to hear about our humanitarian project that will uplift and elevate the lives of millions of people in Africa. And this presentation is for you if you'd like to learn about the opportunity where you can leverage as little as $100 or even less, much less, $10, $20, $50, and still have the potential to earn millions in return. Now, I know it can sound too good to be true, but when you hear what's been put together with this program, you will absolutely clearly see how this can be possible. Now, this project, it began as the vision of Mr. Marcus Dukes, who, after retiring from a very successful career in the world of finance and investments, he decided to pursue something that he felt could really make a difference in helping to eradicate extreme poverty in Africa. And those of you who've heard his story, you know what he's been working on for the last few years to put this program together, what he's gone through. And after the call, you'll have an opportunity to hear some updates from him. So you want to make sure to stay on the line, stay on the Zoom after the presentation. Now, I'm sure that most, if not everyone on this call, has heard the term unicorn in the context of business and investments. Now, unicorn refers to a privately held startup company that achieves a valuation of at least $1 billion. Now, that term unicorn was actually coined by a venture capitalist, Eileen Lee, back in 2013, because it was such a rare achievement to reach this valuation, which, of course, in 2013, there were only 39 unicorn companies, so it was pretty rare. But now listen to these very important numbers. In a study done by Harvard Business Review, it was determined that startups that were founded between 2012 and 2015 were growing in valuation twice as fast as companies that were startups founded between 2000 and 2013. And in 2018, there were 119 unicorns worldwide, about 803 unicorns as of August 2021. And as of June 2022, which that was only about 4 months ago, they reported 1,170 unicorns globally. Now, the growing number of unicorns, well, this is evidence of how new innovations in technology combined with social media apps has contributed to this rise. And in a few minutes, you're going to appreciate why these numbers could be relevant to what we're presenting to you now. But first, let me ask you this. How many of you were invited to be a private investor in a unicorn company when it was just a startup? Meaning before it became a unicorn company. You see, chances are that you, like me, never got that call to go check out any of these startups. So let's talk about what was happening in Silicon Valley before these unicorn companies just started popping up at such a growing number. Now, of course, this is where young entrepreneurs with great ideas, they went there to pitch private investors and venture capitalists, hoping to get funding to build their ideas into successful companies. And of course, we've heard stories of unbelievable returns of tens of millions or hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars when any of these great ideas became successful, and especially when they achieved unicorn status. So now that you're on this presentation, let me just say, well, now you have been invited to an opportunity where you can actually be a part of profiting from startups that could potentially become unicorn companies. The vision that Marcus started with has now evolved into a new startup ecosystem in Africa, and specifically to address the continent's most pressing issues, and it's using crypto and blockchain technology. Now, this is important because blockchain is a transparent and incorruptible digital ledger, and crypto, well, crypto moves the world to prosperity. Now, one part of this new ecosystem, the Humanity Node Protocol, it's already completed proof of concept, meaning it's been successfully executed and implemented in Africa. People are already being trained, they're gaining new skills, and they have access to business resources that will give them opportunities that they never had previously. And with these opportunities, they will be able to improve their personal economies. And this will result in their lives and their families' lives truly being uplifted and elevated in ways that will be sustainable for a lifetime. Now, another part of this new ecosystem is the African Startup League, or ASL. And this is what we're going to be focused on for this presentation that probably will take maybe about 20 minutes or so. So for that, I want to do a screen share and bring up some slides that hopefully will kind of help in this. So hang on real quick. Let me just get those slides for you and get the screen share going so that we can be all on the same page here. Okay, so here we go. ASL, African Startup League. So as you can see from this first slide, it says, welcome to Africa's $1 trillion startup competition. So what's been put together here truly is the groundwork that's going to give you access to the world's next major economy, and that's in Africa. And you're going to have the opportunity to receive tokenized equity of dynamic businesses that have real world impact. So just kind of a summary of what we're going to be covering in the next 15, 20 minutes. We'll be talking about Africa's $1 trillion startup game, why Africa, the decentralized GDP of Africa, a little bit about Africa's rise to this $1 trillion startup, with this $1 trillion startup game, and certainly in comparison to China's rise and what's happened for them in the last 20 years. Then also you're going to hear about how African Startup League helps you create your own venture fund, allows you to receive staking rewards of up to 100 times, and how ASL is going to launch 100 African startups per year. Okay. And the ASL way, well, this is where you can win sometimes, but you never lose. And then specifically about the competition, the ASL tokenomics, commissions, and referrals. So what is the African Startup League? Well, it's a unique studio platform. This is where we are going to be connecting these young, hopeful entrepreneurs with people, the experts that can help them start and build their business ideas. So these are the strategists, the creatives, engineers, community and capital to design, build, and launch exponential organizations, and it's going to be focused on improving the life of humans and transforming the world of tomorrow. And these teams that will be competing in the African Startup League are all competing for the grand prize of $1 million awarded to them as direct funding for their projects. So why are we doing it? Well, first of all, we want to find those future unicorns. Remember those billion-dollar companies? Because these will be the foundation of Africa's multi-trillion-dollar economy. And remember, while we are working to help find and create these unicorn companies, they don't all need to become unicorns in order for you to earn those unbelievable returns. Because you see, you have the advantage. You have the advantage of timing, meaning you're finding out about this right now, ground zero, before it even gets started. You have the advantage where the price of the ASL tokens is only 1 penny, okay? And how are we doing it? Laying the railroads, right? The path to gather and distribute resources for the building and acceleration of the next 10,000 great blockchain-based humanity-focused companies and create $1 trillion of new wealth. That's major. So why Africa? Well, we have seen that there's an unprecedented opportunity that's been created by the convergence of demographic power, social power, and blockchain power. So let's take a look at each of those. Demographic power. Right now, there are 1.4 billion inhabitants in Africa, which is the second largest population in the world. By 2050, that number will be 2.5 billion. They have the youngest population of any region, where the median age is 20, and that's like a decade less than the global average. Then the social power. There are right now over 500 million people already on the internet in Africa, over 250 million of Facebook users alone. And access to the internet is growing year on year at an accelerated pace. Then we have the blockchain power. Africa has the fastest adoption of blockchain in the world. Between 2020 and 2021, in that 1 year period, they experienced a 1,200% growth. And over this same period, more than 100 billion crypto payments were to Africans. And right now, 10% of the population in Kenya already have crypto wallets. So let's take a quick look at China's rise to economic power, because I'm sure many of you have heard the saying that success leaves clues. Well, we have something even better. We have an actual roadmap, right, that we can follow, meaning we kind of have an idea of the different benchmarks to look for. So in China, it took them 4 years to move from $500 billion to $1 trillion GDP. Then 17 additional years to reach $10 trillion GDP, only 8 more years to become a $17 trillion economy and the world's second largest. And during China's rise to their economic power, in the last 20 years alone, they've created 301 unicorns, 1,000 billionaires, 5 million new millionaires, okay? So what's happening in Africa now? Well, Africa today has a $1.7 trillion economy. And when we talk about this economy, the GDP, we're talking about the gross domestic product. And this is, of course, the total monetary value added of all the goods and services that are produced within specific geographic boundaries during a specified period of time. So this is what we are going to help them do, is to increase that GDP with these startup companies and help growing these companies. So Africa will represent a $20 trillion GDP by 2040, with China's growth, looking at China's growth rate in comparison, right? The median age of the Africa continent is under 20. So again, that's less than half of any other continent. Blockchain has already hit critical mass in many African countries. Now, when we talk about critical mass, this is that tipping point at which something becomes self-sustaining because the numbers are big enough to produce results and to continue to grow. Africa starts its hypergrowth phase with a younger and more entrepreneurial population. So when we look at this younger and more entrepreneurial population, this is the same generation that has more easily adopted and utilized new technology and social media, which are major contributing factors to the growing numbers of unicorns. And right now, 1/3 of all crypto owners in Africa are based in Nigeria. So there are over 22 million people that are crypto owners. Nigeria's current population is over 218 million. So 22 million is only 10%. Leaving 90% potential that we still have the opportunity to tap into. The information and business sector provides 55% of the African continent and 80% of the employment. So why decentralized GDP of Africa? Now, when we talk about decentralized GDP, this means that it's not governed or regulated by a single government body or authority, okay? And in fact, if you look at this comparison chart, on one side are the issues with centralization, and the other side is the decentralized solution. So with Africa, right now, you've got 54 countries, all with different currencies, whereas with the decentralized solution, you're going to have one economy for all for the entire continent. Right now, we're dealing with corrupt governments, lacks of transparency, but once we get into the decentralized solution, it's going to be free from any foul play and corruption because all transactions are transparent and recorded on the chain. With centralization, there are power discrepancies. The decentralized solution is where people have the power. With centralization, we're dealing with rising inflation and the continued devaluation of African currencies. Whereas with decentralized solution, we're looking at the accelerated crypto adoption. Right now in Africa, currently 57% are unbanked. Well, with the decentralized solution, it will be a lot easier to bank people just simply on the phone. So we're going to, with your participation in the African Startup League, you're going to be able to create your own venture, your own venture fund. Now, when we talk about venture capital, we're really talking about funds that are pooled. They're investments that are made with a pooled funding, and it's made in startups. But what you get for that in exchange is you're going to get equity and ownership in those companies. So it's really, we're talking huge numbers, those unbelievable returns. That's where it comes from when those startups that that are in the competition end up in the top 100. Now you're going to be able to have equity or ownership in those companies. You see, when we get started with this competition, the way you get involved is that you are going to purchase ASL tokens, right? African Startup League tokens. Right now, they are only 1 cent. I don't know how much longer they will be at that price. I can tell you that the price will go up. It will continue to increase. Now, once the 1 billion tokens are sold, That means we now have enough for 10,000 teams to each have 100,000 tokens, which is what they need in order to be able to participate in the competition. And this chart is just showing the equity that you receive should you assign any of your tokens to any of the teams that end up in the top 100. So it doesn't even have to be the first place winner. If it ends up in the top 100, any of the teams that you assign your tokens to, you get equity in all 100 of those companies. So here's the competition. Like I said, the top cash prize that they are really competing for is $1 million US. And at that point, at the end of the competition, the winning team, the winning idea is going to receive a $5 million valuation. What's the significance of that? Well, starting out, none of these companies have any value assigned to them. Okay, no value assigned to them. And by the time they get the business started and they start to grow those ideas, those businesses, and the competition progresses, when they pick that top winning team, they will now assign a $5 million valuation to their business. What do you think your equity in that company is going to be worth, right? And remember, if you buy your tokens right now, you're buying them for a penny, for 1 cent. Now, as I said, there will be 10,000 teams. And what we're building right now is only the first. This is going to be happening year after year after year. So we're looking at least 100 funded startups that these competitions will generate. And of those teams, right, these are young, promising entrepreneurs, likely many, genius minds with real talents, the likes of maybe Steve Jobs, right? And what are they doing? Well, they're hoping that they can win that prize money of $1 million US in order to get their business idea off the ground. But this competition, it's going to discover a lot of very promising entrepreneurs and businesses. Now, everybody can participate. They're going to project their ideas. They're going to get voted on. They will obviously be vetted out by people that know what they're looking for in terms of a viable business. And again, you're going to have the opportunity to assign the tokens that you purchase to whatever teams you want, however many tokens for each team or whatever, or all in one team or 10 teams. It's up to you how you're going to do that. We'll provide you with access to who these teams are, what their business ideas are, so that you can see who you want to assign your tokens to. And again, if any of the ones that you have given tokens to ends up in the top 100, you will win equity in all 100 companies. And these companies will have a total valuation of $12 million. Companies that started out with zero valuation. And this is the prize pool that you can see here. And of course, the first prize being that $1 million US. And it shows here all the way down to the 10th place, right? But from place number 11 to 100, all of those teams will get $10,000 each. And remember that what's going to be happening here, first of all, they will be awarded these prizes in funding, in the way of funding for their projects. But during this competition, there's going to be a lot of major global publicity. There's going to be a lot of social media promotions. there's really giving them the opportunity to get a lot of exposure and be discovered, to be able to secure financing and support for these teams to be able to grow even bigger during their journey. And with the support that Marcus is getting, not just from the royal family in Dubai where he's at, but from a lot of other big names, you know, that would not normally be lending their names to something that is not, you know, legitimate and viable. They are behind this project. So just know that it's a very serious and legitimate project. And guess what? Once you become a part of our humanity team by purchasing your tokens, you're going to have access to a lot of other learning modules. How would you like to have online classes from mentors and investment professionals and partners and experts who can teach you, right? They can teach you more about how to create your venture capital funds. They can teach you more about how to be an entrepreneur. They can teach you about the blockchain technology and staking and things like that. And once you become involved here, as you can see here, it says win and never lose, because if you don't pick a team that ends up in the top 100, all your tokens are returned to you. So you lose nothing. And during the off season, if you bought a lot of tokens and you see that during the off season, meaning after the competition has ended, you're going to see that these tokens that you bought for a penny, I mean, what if they're now worth $1? What if they're worth $2 or more? If you bought a lot, you may want to sell some at that point and look at the returns that you're going to get, just because you have the advantage of finding out about it right now, where you bought the ASL tokens for only a penny. And you can play again next year. You can keep playing year after year. But you know what's going to be happening year after year? These competitions will gain more and more exposure. It's going to gain momentum in terms of the public, of the marketplace, really honing in on these teams that are competing and what their businesses are. So it's kind of like we've talked about, you know, like comparing it to Shark Tank or comparing it to American Idol. I remember I didn't even realize American Idol has been around for so long, because it never caught my attention early on. But what has happened now, right? Just in the last decade alone, they're now making a whole show of going from city to city to city, watching people lined up to go and audition, hoping for these singers to be discovered. And how is it that by the time they end the competition, not only does the winner get these contracts, but so many of the other performers, because of the simple fact that they got the exposure that they needed and they were discovered. And so that's what we're doing with these young entrepreneurs, is we're helping them get that kind of attention as well. And again, by the time the competition ends, you're going to have equity in these 100 companies. So let's just talk just a little bit about this tokenomics, because when this really sinks in, you're going to be like losing sleep when you really understand what this means. This is a decentralized platform. It's built on the Binance Smart Chain, and it's using smart contracts. So with the way that it is set up, it first of all, it guarantees that there's going to be adequate compensation for all the participants in the system. There will be 1 billion ASL tokens once it's done. There will be 10,000 teams with 100,000 ASL tokens each. And there will be still supplies for future liquidity pools. So once all the ASL tokens are purchased, there will be no more. No more. And this is where it follows the most basic law and fundamental principle in economics, and that is the law of supply and demand. When the demand is high and the supply is low, the price of the supply goes up. And as that demand continues to increase, which is what's going to happen, just like what you see happening in American Idol, year after year, there are more and more viewers, more and more contestants, more and more performers getting these contracts, right, from record labels, because they already know that based on the exposure that they got on that show, the record labels already know that they can offer them these $1 million contracts because they have already garnered that large of a fan base because of the exposure that they got on the show. That's what's going to happen here, guys. And the day will come when the demand for these tokens are going to be so huge. But guess what? The supply did not increase. Who holds the supply? Those of you, those of us who purchase them. And right now you can purchase the supply for only 1 penny. So what's going to happen when that price goes from a penny to $1, to $5, to $10? I hope you're getting the picture. Because when the demand continues to increase and the supply is not increasing commensurate with the demand, the price of those tokens will continue to increase. Now, you have a choice. I've explained to you the African Startup League. You can participate by purchasing your tokens, and then you're going to be able to assign them to the teams that you want, that you choose what teams you want to assign your tokens to, and then sit back and cheer on those teams because you want them, you want at least one of them to end up in the top 100 so that you can gain equity in all 100 of the companies that come out of this competition. But you might be thinking, you know what? This is such a great project to help to kind of help accelerate, if you will, that growth of the GDP in Africa because of these companies, these businesses that we're helping to start up and we're helping to grow and nurture. And then every year, 10,000 new ideas, year after year after year, and 100 startup companies being funded year after year after year. We saw what happened in China. It's going to happen faster just because of the technology and the social media aspect of things now that they did not have the advantage of at the times that they were building their economy. Well, now we have it. And you might say, you know what? I want to be a part of this. I want to help these young, promising entrepreneurs, many with genius minds and real talents, with great ideas. I want to help them get discovered. I want to help them get their businesses off the ground. And because it's such a great idea, maybe I'll tell people that I know about it. Maybe I'll tell my family and friends, people that I love and care about, because I want them to benefit as well. And when they do, and they purchase these tokens, that's called your first tier. Anybody you personally refer, you're going to get a 15% commission. When they refer someone, that's your second tier. You're going to get a 5% commission. When they refer someone, that's your third tier. You're going to get 4%. When they refer someone on your fourth tier, you get 1%. When they refer someone on your fifth tier, you're going to get 3%. And when they refer someone on your sixth tier, you're going to get 2%. Now, anybody that has seen these kinds of organizations grow, you know that the deeper you go in the tiers, meaning further down you go, even though these percentages may look a little smaller, we're talking about purchases made by larger numbers of people. Therefore, the commissions are definitely going to be much larger. So what are we asking you? the guests who are seeing this for the first time, those that are not yet involved with us here, not yet part of our humanity team. Well, we're asking you to make a decision. Is this something you want to be a part of? And if it is, let the person who invited you on this presentation, let them know that you want to be a part of this. The second decision you make is, how many tokens do you want to purchase? Right now, they are 1 penny. It won't stay at that price very long, just so you know. So you need to make that decision and make that purchase. We'll help you get that done. And then really invite the people that you also want to be able to benefit onto this presentation, and we'll explain the whole thing to them, on your behalf. Okay, because together we can really help grow the economy in Africa. So help build the future of Africa today. African Startup League is the first blockchain-based African startup contest for young entrepreneurs. It's 100% on blockchain with unique and transparent community involvement from A to Z. Truly, the platform and program that has been provided for us here is where technology meets humanity. My hope is that you've seen something here, you've heard something here, that you can really appreciate the magnitude of this project, that you will see how you can help to uplift and elevate the lives of millions of people in Africa, and at the same time have the opportunity to leverage $100 or more, however much you want, and have the potential return of millions of dollars. Because we want to invite you to be a part of this. And I hope that you've gained enough information to make that decision and that your answer is yes. With that, I'm going to conclude the presentation. I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. We will see you on the next presentation tomorrow. Thank you.